Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we are going to talk about Poland and Belarus, provide a little update on the claims and tensions coming out of that area, and kind of dive into what the Polish government thinks might be happening. But before we get into that, last week I gave a little bit of a crash course on how open source intelligence works and how you can get information. It's worth noting that yesterday, the Ministry of Defense, British Ministry of Defense, said reports suggest most of the visible vehicles are trucks and minibuses with few armored combat vehicles. It remains unclear what has happened to the heavy equipment Wagner used in Ukraine. There is a realistic possibility that it was forced to return these to the Russian government. Wagner's ability to secure heavy equipment and enablers such as air transport will be key factors in its future combat effectiveness. Okay, so that is now a real, intelligence agency saying the exact same thing that the open source intelligence community was saying last week. That's the exact same information. Okay, so what does the Polish government think is going on with Wagner? They seem to believe that some of Wagner's forces, around 100 according to them, are gearing up to maybe sneak into Poland. That tracks. That makes more sense than anything else, to be honest. Remember that before Ukraine, Wagner was really kind of used as Russia's special operations in large part. They weren't infantry troops the way they got used in Ukraine. A lot of them had pretty special skills. This makes sense. I think there might be a little bit of anti-immigrant sentiment mixed in with this, but the baseline story, it tracks. It tracks. The concern that they have is Wagner forces not so much openly engaging, but more starting disruptions inside Poland or maybe Lithuania. So they're going to be on guard for that. They've increased patrols and they've taken all of the necessary steps. I guess there's talk about them even closing the border. That makes a whole lot more sense than Wagner's going to invade Poland. Something with a light footprint, yeah, I mean, that tracks a whole lot more. I don't think it would change anything as far as a NATO response. If Wagner does something armed in a NATO country, even if plausible deniability is there, and let's say, hypothetically speaking, the president of Belarus tells the president of Russia that, oh, we're keeping Wagner in the center of the country so they don't do anything. And that information is put out to the press as a method of, saying, oh, Putin didn't know. Putin had nothing to do with it. Yeah, I don't think it's going to matter. I don't think that the plausible deniability is really going to come into play if a NATO member is hit. But it's also worth noting that this could all be it could all be something designed to just make the West, make NATO, think twice. It could be a bluff. There are a couple of other theories about maybe trying to create another land bridge, stuff like this. I don't know. All of this, from Russia's perspective, this is a really bad idea. It's not a good idea. But one of the things that we have to remember is that people who truly understood low intensity conflict, they were saying that Russia invading Ukraine was a really bad idea that could lead into a, protracted years-long conflict. So just because it's a bad idea doesn't mean that Russia won't do it. There are certainly some gaps in their strategic planning. So this is what's on the radar, in the rumor mill, but at this point, we don't really know much more. Just a new theory has come out from the Polish government, and it makes way more sense than an invasion. That's what we know. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.